It's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Go check out our friends at xmartial.com. They sent me this awesome t-shirt. It says choke dealer and os on it. And it's got a fist bump thing going on. Anyway, xmartial.com. Use my code Ramsey10 for 10% off everything on their website. More about them at the end of the Q&A. Today we have a question from an anonymous user, which is a shame because he's got a really cool screen name that I would love to say here, but we're not gonna because he wants to remain anonymous. Our anonymous viewer says, I had my last fight 6 months ago. It was meant to be an exhibition between two schools, but it went a lot harder than expected. Unfortunately, it did not go well for myself, and since that point, I haven't been back to the gym. I went from training 5 to 6 days a week to 1 or maybe 2, and I feel like a failure of what I once was. I trained since I was 16. I'm now 30. And I feel like I lost all my manhood. I feel embarrassed and not good enough for my partner, and it's eating me up. I understand you don't have to win all fights. I just feel like I've let my gym, myself, and my family down, and getting touched up in front of all your friends and family has eaten away at me to the point I can barely train anymore. I just wish training would bring me back to the same level of happiness. Instead, I got brought back to that point of being in the ring and losing. I would love to know your thoughts, Coach. Thanks for everything and all of your videos. Man, that sucks, and I can relate to that experience. I've lost some fights, man. It's no fun to lose a fight, especially if all your friends and your family are watching. This is 6 months ago for you. I had a fight once, and it wasn't a good matchup for me, and I ended up losing a pretty one-sided beat down. But my wife and her best friend and some other friends, they were like, yeah, let's go watch Ramsey fight. This is going to be fun. And they came ringside to one of the most brutal beat downs I had ever taken. And afterwards they were like, yeah, well, that happened. Okay. And it was embarrassing. It sucked. And there's no explaining that away. It's like, well, I lost a fight. This guy was better than me at fighting. And I understand how you feel. Like, it feels like a big blow to your manhood. Like, yeah, you're not a real man anymore. Your wife just saw you absolutely demoralized right in front of her, man. It sucks. Well, guess what? There's always another fight. And you might want... It kind of sounds like you don't want to do another fight. It sounds like getting back in the gym just reminds you of this traumatic experience. It takes time to overcome traumatic experiences. There's no magic solution, no magic answer. Do you lift weights? If not, you should. You really should. And not just because lifting weights is a good idea for fighters. Strength and conditioning should be part of a fighter's regimen. But more importantly, it's good for your mind and it's good for your soul. It really is, man. Lifting weights, it's one of the manliest things men can do, and men should lift weights. Because it sets us in the right state of mind, I think. It has the potential to set us in the right state of mind. I'll tell you a story. I had a breakup with a girlfriend I used to have back. I was 21 years old, and I met this girl, and I thought, she's beautiful. I want to marry her. She's the one. And then she tells me it's over. Bye. And goes off and starts dating this other dude. And I felt like, oh man, this sucks. I felt like the feelings you're describing after losing this fight, that's kind of how I felt after this breakup. I felt like I was so useless, man. And it hurt and it was painful. And I was like, I'm never going to get back on this horse. This sucks. Boo, boo me. Wah, wah, right? And I had some friends who talked me into going to the weight room with them. And I didn't lift weights at the time, but I started doing it. And it just felt like, it felt right, man. It felt right. And just something about exerting myself 100%, even though I was super weak at the time, but giving 100% effort to something. Something that always gave objective truth to me, because the barbell doesn't lie. The iron doesn't lie. It will always tell you the truth. It'll always tell you the truth, and you might not like that truth, which is often, you're too weak, dude. Keep going until you're strong enough. That's often the truth the iron tells you, right? But it does something magical, something physiological to your body that just makes you feel better. So give that a try. But you probably want something else to latch onto as far as this question is concerned. There's always going to be somebody better than you in a fight. And you could be matched up on that particular day. You could have been matched up with hundreds of other dudes you could have beaten easily. You could have been matched up with 100 other dudes that you could have ground into the dirt like they were noobs and made them look silly. And then they would be feeling what you're feeling. Like, oh man, I don't belong in this sport because this tougher, more experienced guy got the better of me that day. And maybe if things were different, if your opponent had gone, maybe if he hadn't slept as well the night before, or if he hadn't eaten right, or if he got sick or something like that, he would have underperformed and you would have stomped him. That could have happened too. Or you thought you were going in for a light, friendly exhibition from the sound of it, from your letter, and instead what you got was a knockout, drag-out brawl. And so, yeah, you got taken by surprise there, right? You went in there with one set of intentions, and this guy gave you a whole different set of realities. And so it feels unfair, and injustice has occurred, right? And it's okay to feel mad about that. Take this shame and this pain, turn it into anger, turn it into righteous indignation for a minute. People talk about degrees of grieving, steps of grieving. I'm going to give you a different set. Let's go back to that story about the girl who broke up with me, and I felt really bad about it. I started lifting weights, and that sadness turned into anger. I'm going to amend that. Righteous indignation. Not anger against this girl. I wished her no harm whatsoever. I would never, ever pour out anger upon a lady. Not like that. But an anger welling up like this, like I need to project this energy that has just welled up inside of me in a positive direction. You absolutely can do that. That's why I'm saying righteous indignation instead of anger. So it goes from hurt and shame to righteous indignation, and we pour that out. How did I pour that out? It started out I was pouring that out into the barbell, into the gains. And so when I'm pushing up that bar, dragging up that bar, pulling that bar, etc., squatting that bar, etc., it's like I went from feeling I'm so weak and helpless to I will not be weak. And guess what? It worked. And that righteous indignation turned into light. It turned into power. It turned into potential. And it turned into strength. And my weaknesses became strength. You've been humbled. Good. Good. Because that is the necessary step to gain the next level of strength. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train. Do you like the rash guards and shorts that I wear in my YouTube videos? Well, get your own at xmartial.com, and don't forget to use my code Ramsey10 for 10% off your entire purchase. Over the years, I've been offered a lot of sponsorship opportunities on YouTube, and I've turned most of them down, except for xmartial.com for a very specific reason. It is a brand that I use. It's a brand that I trust. They make quality gear. I don't want to sell you crap that takes your attention away from getting out there and training. X-Martial is a brand that supports athletes and has from the very beginning. So if you're going to get training gear anyway, it might as well be the good stuff.